വിദേശ വിചാരത്തിൻ്റെ മറ്റൊരു ലക്കത്തിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം. യുണൈറ്റഡ് നേഷൻസ് ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയൽ ഡെവലപ്മെൻറ്റ് ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ അഥവാ യുണീഡോ ഐക്യരാഷ്ട്ര സംഘടനാ കുടുംബത്തിലെ അത്രയധികം അറിയപ്പെടാത്ത ഒരു സംഘടനയാണ്. വികസ്വര രാജ്യങ്ങളുടെ വ്യവസായം വികസിപ്പിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി 1966 സ്ഥാപിതമായതാണ് യുണീഡോ. പിന്നീട് അതൊരു സ്പെഷ്യലൈസ്ഡ് ഏജൻസിയായി മാറി. UNDP, IAEA, UNICEF ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആ കുടുംബത്തിൽ ഒരു ചെറിയ അംഗമാണ് യുണീഡോ. ശീതസമരത്തിന് ശേഷം ക്യാപിറ്റലിസത്തിൻ്റെ വിജയം കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ വ്യവസായ വികസനം പ്രൈവറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ചെയ്യേണ്ടതാണ്, അല്ലാതെ ഗവൺമെൻറ്റുകൾ ചെയ്യേണ്ടതല്ല എന്ന വിശ്വാസത്തോടു കൂടി അമേരിക്ക, UK, ഓസ്ട്രേലിയ എന്നീ രാജ്യങ്ങൾ യുണീഡോ വിട്ടുപോയി. പക്ഷേ വികസ്വര രാജ്യങ്ങളുടെ ആവശ്യങ്ങൾ അംഗീകരിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് യുണീഡോ ഇപ്പോഴും തുടരുകയാണ്. പല രാജ്യങ്ങളിലും, ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ഉൾപ്പെടെ, യുണീഡോ വളരെ പ്രശസ്തമായ സേവനങ്ങൾ നൽകുന്നു. ഇനി യുണീഡോയുടെ ഭാവി എന്താണ്? ഇപ്പോൾ എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് യുണീഡോ വികസ്വര രാജ്യങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി ചെയ്യുന്നത്? അതിനുള്ള പണം അവർക്ക് ലഭിക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഈയിടെ ഒരു ചൈനീസ് പ്രതിനിധി യുണീഡോയുടെ ഡയറക്ടർ ജനറലായി തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കപ്പെടുകയായി. അതിനു മുമ്പുണ്ടായിരുന്ന ആഫ്രിക്കയിൽ നിന്നുള്ള ഒക്കേല എന്ന പ്രശസ്തനായ സിവിൽ സർവൻറ്റിൻ്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിലായിരുന്നു യുണീഡോ പ്രവർത്തിച്ചിരുന്നത്. അന്ന് അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ഡയറക്ടർ ജനറലിൻ്റെ പ്രധാന ഉപദേഷ്ടാവായ ജബമാലൈ വിനാഞ്ചി അറാച്ചി ഇന്ന് നമ്മളോടൊപ്പമുണ്ട്. അദ്ദേഹം ഇപ്പോൾ തിരുവനന്തപുരത്തുള്ള കാർഡിനൽ ക്ലീമിസ് അക്കാഡമി ഓഫ് മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് സ്റ്റഡീസിൻ്റെ ഡയറക്ടറാണ്. നമുക്ക് യുണീഡോയെ പറ്റിയും അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പുതിയ ഉത്തരവാദിത്തത്തെ പറ്റിയും സംസാരിക്കാം. വെൽക്കം ജബമാലൈ.
Thank you.
Welcome to Asianet. Welcome to Trivandrum.
Okay, I'm pleased to be here.
Right. I was telling them a little bit about UNIDO. Yeah. You must have understood that much.
Yes,
yes. So UNIDO has had a good time in the past. Later it had some difficulties, but still UNIDO has survived many of these challenges.
Yeah.
Basically because the support that the developing countries have been giving them. But the funds have to come from the developed countries. So tell us a bit about your own experience with UNIDO as the principal advisor to the Director General.
Okay. UNIDO is mandated with the task of fostering economically efficient, ecologically friendly and socially desirable pattern of industrial development in developing countries, economies in transition, and with a focus on the latecomers in the sphere of industrial development, that's least developed countries. Industrialization itself is an ongoing process with the constant injection of restructuring. In an internationally competitive environment, it is not the question of survival of the biggest or smallest, but the fastest. Only those who keep pace with the rapidly changing facets of processing, design and marketing survive, others fall apart. UNIDO was established in 1966. For 10 to 15 years actually it was a smooth go, no problem. When the Iron Curtain fell and the waves of globalization sweeping across the countries and continents, then the need for UNIDO was felt more than ever before. At the same time, the thinking in the developing countries.
Right.
And in the developed countries gained the feeling that market forces would take care.
Right.
You privatize everything, deregulate, liberalize everything.
So the UN intervention is not necessary.
But in those countries, if you look at the dynamic industrial locations in those countries, in Wales and Scotland, which are known as dynamic industrial locations, the concerned agencies, Wales Development Agency, is virtually babysitting enterprises, attending to the needs of them.
That is government intervention.
Exactly, government intervention.
So it is not true to say that with globalization, government intervention has completely stopped in developed countries.
It
not
is
true.
more actually.
Okay.
Today, the government is expected to emerge as a dynamic entrepreneur, not in terms of owning industrial assets, but in terms of rekindling all new sources of dynamic growth.
Right.
I make a simple statement, but there are a lot of things involved in how to rekindle new sources of dynamic growth. In fact, in line with these things, UNIDO constantly restructured and reformed.
So you mean to say that even after the Cold War and globalization, the industrialized countries still intervene to develop their industrial development.
Yeah.
But then how is it that they are denying it to the developing countries?
And this is a big surprise. You know, they babysit the enterprises there, take care of everything, create business services, and offer institutional support in order for their firms to withstand competitive pressures for efficiency gains. UNIDO is doing the same.
But in 1992, when there was a reform proposal, the Commission recommended the abolition of two agencies. One was UNCTAD and the other was UNIDO, I recall. And we in the UN fought very hard not to abolish these two. But they lost their interest in financing UNIDO. And that is how they tried to kill it, through denial of funding. How did it affect UNIDO?
I would like to respond to this with a personal note. It was in that year, UNIDO had a financial crisis and identity crisis.
I see.
Because the global governance report said that UNIDO has outlived its utility.
Absolutely.
And
I recall that.
wind up. Yeah. It was in that year I got my first long-term contract. All through I was a consultant with the intermittent break-up contract. So my boss gave me almost a regular title of appointment. It was in that year. So I went to my boss and I told him that it appears the survival of UNIDO is a big question mark. Don't you think it is better to be a temporary staff member in a permanent organization than to be a permanent staff member in a temporary organization? You know.
But it did not happen.
It did not happen because UNIDO withstood all this series of crises through constant reform. And they were always responding to the growing needs.
And also the support of G77. I think strongly the developing countries supported it. But the funding comes from developed countries.
This is true. You know, whenever a few countries left, they never criticized UNIDO. I distinctly remember what the US said. You know, I think they said, we are not abandoning a sinking ship. We are leaving UNIDO because of our change of priorities at home. And some countries left because of the financial crisis. Only recently, when UK left, it gave a reason which was not convincing to me. And I read the DFID report also. I was not at all convinced of the reason cited by them. They said UNDP is much more effective in making an impact on poverty reduction than UNIDO. And they made
I was going to ask you that. How do you distinguish UNDP activities from UNIDO activities? UNDP also supports industries.
UNDP is all in one.
Right.
They have so many programs. They deal with the problems related to HIV.
So why do you need another specialized agency then? Is that the argument?
No, the thing is, in the specialized agency, we have a well-defined mandate, and more than 60% of the delivery is related to Montreal Protocol in UNIDO, and that is very important.
That is environmental.
Environment-related
ozone
things.
depletion. Yes.
And the UNDP is not scaling up their activities in this. And UNDP is doing so many good things, but not in a focused way, in a specialized way, the way we do. As to the withdrawal of some countries, they are all coming back through our projects. In recently, a big project was funded by Canada, which left
UNIDO which means they don't contribute to the regular budget,
but they
make special.
Yes, they are all coming back. And I had the unique opportunity of working under Dr. Kande Umkala, who just left UNIDO. He assumed office as the Secretary General's high-level special representative for a new program called Sustainable Energy for All. That's actually based in, and under his leadership, UNIDO was totally transformed according to the changing needs today. In addition to all our regular TC delivery, now today we talk a great deal about climate change, and he introduced a lot of innovative projects.
UNIDO does not support huge industries, do they?
No. UNIDO's
Tatas and Birlas don't look for
they don't.
So if it is middle and small scale industries, the private sector was very small in India, for example. So that may have been the time when UNIDO may have given some assistance to government programs. But when the business plan was presented,
Yeah.
did it result in enhancement of contributions?
Yes, yes, very much, very much. You know, actually, through our trade capacity building initiative, we call it 3 Cs, you know, compete, comply and connect, you know. It made a tremendous progress in many countries, particularly in Africa. European Union imposed a ban on the export of fish and particularly shrimps. And UNIDO made an intervention and enabled the stakeholders to just to supply shrimps to European Union, complying with the international standards and quality control norms, and the ban was lifted.
I see.
This is just one example, and that made a major breakthrough, you know, in accelerating the export drive of this particular product from
Well, after
Tanzania.
the business plan was introduced, in fact, I went to Washington on behalf of the Director General of UNIDO to persuade the United States to come back. And we met many congressmen, many senators, very many people in the administration. But one funny suggestion I got from them was that, or it sounded very odd, was that UNIDO, by encouraging developing countries to industrialize, would present competition to the developed countries of the world.
No.
I thought that was very amusing. How could 460 million or 300 million or even 100 million at that time, UNIDO create so much capacity in the developing world that the developed world would face competition? I mean, is that an argument that they give even now?
Actually, okay, Americans left with the convincing reasons of their own. When Dr. Umkala assumed office, you know, within a short period, he won the approbation of the Americans. And the mood
what
changed.
did they do?
The mood changed, and there were rumors that US may come back.
Well, that rumor was there even when I was there.
As a mark of respect for the great leadership of Dr. Umkala, that was very much like, I was told that in few African countries, US is funding UNIDO projects.
I see.
As
Directly?
Canada is, directly, directly. This is what I was told. As Canada is now funding a project in Sudan, and US is funding some projects, UNIDO projects in some
So if
selected
this
African
is the case,
countries.
why don't they come back to the organization?
Yeah, this is a good question. No answer. No answer.
So there must be a more fundamental philosophy there.
Yeah,
I think they have this concern that they should not be encouraging government intervention.
There are
in business.
many interpretations. You know, sometimes it is political, sometimes it is financial.
But what is political? UNIDO has no leftist ideology.
I don't know. You know, there is a very interesting article written by somebody. He is interpreting it in a different way. Now, the new Director General just assumed office.
The Chinese.
And the writer says, geopolitically, it may be more convenient for him to run the organization, less complicated, you know.
You were in Sudan as a representative of UNIDO.
Yes.
Tell us your experience
Oh,
about
that
UNIDO.
was the
That
best.
might be a what shall we say, a study, a point of study, that how does a country like Sudan benefit from it?
That was the best part of my life.
I see.
I thank Almighty God every day for that. You know why? When I landed there, I felt enormously incompetent to make interventions befitting UNIDO's mandate.
Because there was no money.
No money for development purpose. And donors had 3 priorities: humanitarian, humanitarian and humanitarian.
Okay.
Because
but there was enough need for humanitarian assistance.
because the country was suffering from 21 years of war, 2 million killed and 4 million stranded. And then at that time, there is a place called Nuba Mountain region where people maintained durable peace, not even a single violation of ceasefire agreement. Even there, all the interventions by the donors were humanitarian-centric. Then I thought, my God, these people are expecting peace dividend in terms of sustainable sources of livelihood. What is happening is you continue to drop genetically modified wheat using WFP aircrafts. This cannot happen. Then I wrote to UNIDO and I wrote to our technical counterpart.
But what could you do in terms of industry?
I am coming to that point, sir, and how to make relevant interventions. Right. I said, let me make a study of my own. Let me conduct a survey of what are their needs. I went to remote villages, isolated villages, and asked the young boys and girls, particularly in the Nuba Mountain region, where durable peace was prevailing before the signing of the comprehensive peace agreement. I asked them, what are your priorities? Tell me. With no single exception, they all said, we want to own a piece of land. We want some assistance from international organizations to improve our agricultural productivity.
That you can't do as UNIDO.
No, we can. No, we can fabricate improved means of improved agricultural tools and introduce new devices to reduce post-harvest losses. This is what they wanted. Then they wanted a clinic and primary school. We just established a factory, trained the local blacksmiths to fabricate improved versions of agricultural tools, and then new devices to reduce post-harvest losses. This process eradicated extreme poverty in 147 villages. It is not a fiction, sir. Newborn children are called Arachi in those villages. And then when people heard about it, the impact and compact of this program, World Bank sent a team to conduct a study. And you can Google that. It is called Community-Based Development Projects in Sudan, Lessons Learned. In that report,
they still a UNIDO project?
Yeah, it's a UNIDO project. And of course, they covered all community-based projects, but a special focus was on that. In that report, they say what UNIDO does in Sudan is the best model for post-conflict recovery and development in terms of sensitization, target beneficiaries, tangible impact, local empowerment, and sustainability.
How do you see the growth of UNIDO? Do you think that these major countries will come back?
100%. I think UNIDO will definitely survive because they are always keeping with change, keeping pace with the change. If you look at the emerging ideas on the third industrial revolution, new industrial revolution, and UNIDO's topmost priority is now on renewable sources of energy. In the last few years, they have established themselves as UNIDO has established its image very well there with tremendous impact and compact.
In Trivandrum itself, there is a UNIDO project.
Yes,
how is that going?
It's doing very well. And
the Director General was here.
Yeah, he was here to inaugurate that one, and they established a small hydropower, converting water into watts and watts into wealth. Okay. And our friends, Mr. Alexander Verghese and Professor Damodaran were involved in that. And it made a breakthrough in the quality of life,
And the overall in India, what is UNIDO's role? Are there many projects here?
We have many projects. We have a big office in Delhi, and UNIDO established the South-South Cooperation Center there. It is working under the UNIDO office, but totally independent in a way. And they are promoting South-South cooperation. And it is being increasingly realized that, if you dovetail the needs of the developing countries using the capabilities and skills and resources, eventually both countries will benefit, in a win-win scenario. So,
yeah, but India has always been contributing also to such development agencies.
Particularly.
Like UNDP, we are the biggest donor and biggest recipient.
Yeah.
Similarly, in UNIDO also we must be contributing.
India. A lot.
And so do we get more than that in terms of projects to India? More than what we contribute?
In addition to the contribution to the regular budget, Government of India is also contributing to the Industrial Development Fund. And there are well-defined norms for that. Very interesting, and they can use the money for fostering industrial development in least developed countries, or particularly African
So even outside India, our contribution is not limited to?
No, outside India, provided we use the Indian institutions and the experts. It's working very well.
Okay, Dr. Jebamalai, you have now left the UN and you are in a new field of education.
Okay.
How do you see the change, transformation?
Actually, I started my career as a teacher. And I have a great passion for teaching.
So you come back to teaching?
Yeah, teaching. I wanted to go back to teaching. When I left UNIDO, I got a unique opportunity to work as a senior research fellow at the University of Malaya. And then beloved Cardinal Clemens, he invited me to come.
And the first thing he did was to produce a book?
Yes, because
But there's not much about UNIDO in this, except that you enjoyed it as a...
Only at one point I narrated few things about UNIDO. What I did beyond the call of duty. And I can narrate one story, sir. At that time, I was a very ordinary consultant. And someone from the Solar, it's called Shivaji University in Solapur, he came to Vienna as a tourist. At one point, the guide showed him the big building, the UNIDO. This is the Vienna International Center. And then next day, he came to checkpoint 1 because he thought, I want to start a dyeing factory. What can I get from this UNIDO? And then no one wanted to see him. Then fortunately, a friend of mine from Kerala, who was a security officer there, he called me and he said in Malayalam, Anachi, ivide oru aalu undu. Ivana oruthana receive pannan pattilla. Na avante paranju oru aalu undu. Jebamalai aanu adu. Avaru paranja nere ivide varum. Vandu receive pannum. Ivide onnu varama. Immediately I understood. I went down. received him. First I took him for a nice lunch. Then I said, what do you want? Then I said, I want to know what I can. I said, I am a consultant now. I am a mosquito here. I cannot do wonders. I am not influential here. I can take you to the director of Austrian investment promotion. I took him there. That man asked him to stay for 1 week, arranged appointments with 17 firms in Austria. Within 6 months, sir, a joint venture.
So this is UN as a catalyst.
I'm so happy about it, what I did beyond. And in Sudan, there was a cleaning lady that is, that I don't know whether you read about it.
Yes, that is in the story.
Amazing story. 18 years as
Well,
a cleaning lady.
These are human touch, human stories. Basically, you cannot attribute to the UNIDO.
What I am saying is, when you work for an organization in a very positive way, you try to influence the organization in a very positive way. You can make an impact by your style of functioning, your aptitude, your attitude. You can definitely influence any organization, big or small, in a very positive way.
And that is what you have done.
I have done it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
ഈ വിദേശ വിചാരം ഇവിടെ പൂർണ്ണമാവുകയാണ്. മറ്റൊരു ലക്കവുമായി നമുക്ക് വീണ്ടും കാണാം അടുത്തയാഴ്ച ഇതേ സമയം ഇതേ ചാനലിൽ. നമസ്കാരം.